Have a bold proposal. Instead of fighting against the general nature of the people in our Congress, why not leverage it to our advantage? Now, because our budget is so massive and the government is so pervasive, it is essentially a nexus of power and money in this country. People with means, the ability, will naturally want to control it. I mean, if you have this gigantic, powerful thing out there, you're not going to leave it alone. You're going to want it to, at the very least, do the least to you. And if you can get control of it, use it to do stuff to other people. Now, people who either want to control it or are desirous of the monetary benefits on selling access to the treasury and regulatory powers of the government are essentially the people who are naturally attracted to government. In short, because government is so massive, the bulk of the people who will be attracted to Congress are power hungry or willing to be bribed in order to make government money available to others who desire money and power. So, as it's set up, it becomes a self stabilizing system. People who desire big, bloated government are attracted to big, bloated government for the purpose of keeping it big and bloated. So, what we want and what we ask for and expect of the people in Congress are things that are impossible for them to do. We think we can pass rules on them and that'll fix this. We think somehow we're going to talk these people into passing a law that's contrary to their nature. We hope somehow, despite decades of failure, that somehow we're going to elect a majority of people who aren't like this at all. People who want to shrink government, when those are the people who aren't attracted to government. Essentially, we are fighting the nature of the people there in hopes that they will change. We hope elections will do what they've never done in the past. My solution? Don't fight their nature, embrace their greed and lust for money, and use it in a way that benefits all of us. Now, many of these people have already been bought. So instead of saying, well, we're just going to somehow magically make them go away or somehow get them to turn into real decent human beings, I say use their nature. I say we outbid them. We bribe our representatives and senators in greater amounts than anybody else who's trying to influence the government can. How do we do this? Well, we pass a law. The law will be beneficial to both us and the people in Congress. This idea would be the law would expire after 1 year. For every dollar cut or rescinded from the budget, every congressman voting for the cut gets to keep 50% of the cut. The cut has to occur this year and not as future savings. Not the game they normally play where they say, hey, we've cut $1 trillion from the budget. 1 billion of it happens this year, and the rest of it happens in year 10. No, all the cuts have to occur this year. If all of Congress votes to cut $1 billion from the budget, they get to split $500 million. That's about 935,000 for each congressman. Now, if something becomes contested and only a slim majority pass it, well, they get even more money. And as part of this idea, any spending increases would be counted against their spending cuts. So, there's an additional caveat. In order to secure this bonanza, this huge pile of money, the congressperson must sign a binding contractual agreement to leave politics permanently. They must leave Congress at the end of their term. They can never run for office of any kind again. They can't contribute money to political campaigns, PACs, or NGOs. Now, the congressmen who choose to do this may very well exit Congress as multi-billionaires. However, the gain for America would be huge as well. We would immediately realize billions of dollars in spending cuts, that half that they don't get. However, however much they end up cutting in the end is what we end up realizing by the next year. So essentially, what we get this year would be doubled again the next year because Congress would be done with their payouts at that point. Now, yeah, I know this sounds kind of silly, maybe very silly, but it's no sillier than expecting reprobates to police themselves by coming up with rules that will fix this, or expecting some new populist man to emerge from the candidate pool to have a congressional majority. So I think what ends up happening in the end, if we did something like this, and firmly in cheek, obviously, but we would cut the budget significantly, probably in a way that we haven't done in a long, well, something we've never done. Um, the congressmen who are the probably the worst offenders would be gone because they would take the payout and leave. So obviously, what I'm doing is rather than fight human nature, I say get on board. All right, in the comments below, what do you think of this idea? And again, I'm mostly joking, but it's I think I'm trying to make a point is that we are fighting against their nature. So there's got to be a better way of working, coming up with ways of working within how the human mind actually works rather than trying to fight against what we already got there. All right, please smash the like button. If the YouTube algorithm has brought you here and you're not a regular subscriber, check out my other titles. Subscribe when you see stuff you like. And if you know someone who might find this interesting or funny, share it with them. Thank you for spending time with me this evening. Hope to see you again in a future video.